Hi girlies! Remember Witch? They were my life when I was a child and a huge influence on me. But the TV show is like 20 years old and I have strong opinions, so let's talk about what I would do with it. First of all, we are not stopping after Nerissa's revenge. There are 11 arcs in the original run of comics. 11! We're not going into detail about all 11 arcs here, because I'm interested in increasing my viewer attention, but I am adapting all 11. Secondly, this is not a modernized reboot, which was visually representative of the early 2000s, and it would be an actual sin to separate the iconic duo of Witch in the year 2003. Oh, and lastly, I'm too scared of the CW era of programming to let this be anything other than animated. Here are the stories for some of the individual characters. Will. First things first, this is one of the ones that I was kind of worried about, but then I decided that transphobes couldn't catch my hands, so headcanon Will is a trans boy. I wanted to add LGBT rap, and I played around with a few of the characters, and this is what felt right. I'm also making him autistic, and actually, he collects frogs, so I'm imagining frogs as a special interest. And that's part of his story. So Will moves from Fadden Hills to Heatherfield because his mum gets a high-flying new job, the divorce was finally finalised, and because Sheffield Institute, the best school in Heatherfield, has an excellent autism programme. Will, having been bullied before, is doubtful at first, but then falls in with the best crowd. Will transitions physically due to the magic in his system, transforming into a masculine guardian form. He at first uses humour as a defence mechanism, his favourite Friends character is Chandler, and he projects. But later uses it to his advantage, becoming a funny, sarcastic, personable leader. He goes from having trust issues to trusting his fellow guardians with his life, with them feeling the same way. In civilian life, he volunteers at a pet shop, eventually becoming an employee and putting that on college applications to study herpetology. I'm thinking about Anne from Amphibia actually. Susan eventually finds out about Will being both trans and a guardian both at once when accidentally ending up in the crossfire of a guardian fight against a big bad, maybe Cedric, and is confused and clumsy at first, but accepting and becomes an absolute advocate. Will also dates Matea, a feminist Matt Olson, who is the granddaughter of the pet shop owner. This is not long term, they remain close friends. As far as I'm aware, it's just speculation, but some people read Susan Vandom's appearance as Middle Eastern, and I would like to add some details into Will's story too. I don't know enough about certain cultures within the vast Middle East, so I don't have an exact thought for this one. Irma. She fights with finger guns. She's bisexual. I don't love it when bisexuality is represented exclusively by flirty characters, but I do love it when flirty characters are not limited by gender. So yeah, the flirty one gets to be bisexual as a treat, but it also plays into other aspects that I want to add to her story. Allow me to explain. So Irma is a big fan of rock music, and my version really leans into that. At first, it's rebellion because her stepmom doesn't get her, but then her stepmom has a heart-to-heart with her, encouraging her to pursue music properly, learn music theory, and really get into it. Irma joins a band with Matea playing bass. I don't know why, it just seemed the most water to me, and eventually going on to teach music. I think anyone who grew up in the early 2000s knows what I mean when it comes to the connection between music and bisexuality. If you get it, you get it. Irma also goes from being overconfident to appropriately confident. I seem at first that liking baths in the color blue and having a pet turtle means she just gets water. No effort required. But by the end of the series, she has all the skill that she thought she had at the start because she learns to work hard and dedicate time and energy to becoming a better guardian. She also learns to work better as a team and follow orders or dispute them as necessary. Will teaches Irma how to swim, which she does have an advantage in, but she has learned a little humility by this point. My Irma is also chubby, with a full figure in her later life and her guardian forms. Tirani. Tirani is the one who deserves a further adaptation most because arcs 3 and 4 really delve into Tirani's relationship with guardianship, her activist spirit, and her wisdom. Tirani is also maybe the most interesting to me because she's a fraidy cat, especially being deathly afraid of fire as she moved to Heatherfield after losing her childhood home to a fire. I think I want her overcoming her fears to be a big part of her story. She's afraid of flying until it's with her own wings. She's afraid of fire her until she's in control of it. My Tyranny really leans into the activist element of her story, becoming a little bit punk and like witchy in the crystals and candles sort of sense, fighting for the environment and to protect youth centres and skate parks. I'm kind of basing her a little on Leslie Knope because I think her future really does lie in parks and recreation, looking after local wildlife and making sure the teens have somewhere safe, cool and cheap to hang out. Her mum is a judge, and I feel like maybe she could intern or just help out a little, like Cher in Clueless. Speaking of her mum, something that isn't explored in the series is that Tyranny and her big brother Peter are both adopted and only find out in their teens, so I think that's really worth exploring. Tyranny has a few boyfriends in the comics, so it'll be fun to go into those as well. The relationship I especially want to see in an adaptation is hers with Irma. Spoilers if you haven't read the comics and want to, but as I touched on, Tyranny has her relationship guardianship tested to the point of going on strike, and she was replaced temporarily by a girl called Irma. It'd be interesting to see them interact more, especially in an animated format. Cornelia. Cornelia is where I want to put my representation of physical disability. I was really inspired once by this ballerina I saw who had a prosthetic leg, and Cornelia is an ice skater, and like, that's just ballet but with blades, right? Anyway, I like the idea of her being such an overachiever because of the stigma against people with prosthetics. Ableism. The word I'm looking for is ableism. Anyway, she grows resentful of her little sister as well for being her parents' favourite, and she could project that it's because of her leg. She'll overcome it by accepting what she can do rather than what she can't, aided by guardianship. In my version, her leg transforms with her, taking a tree-like shape, kinda like her Zenith form from season 2. Without pulling the disability equals superhero trope, I think she would learn to use the wood to enhance her magic ability. The main thing to me with Cornelia is that in the comics, she's not the boy crazy girly girl that she is in the TV show. And I think the way to reconcile both is with maturing her out of her TV persona. In the comics, spoiler warning again, she explores a relationship with Peter only after Caleb is turned back into a flower, spiraling the poor girl into a depression. Imagine if your boyfriend got turned into a flower, but you as the guardian of Earth couldn't do anything about it. I love that she has a darkness to her. She can sulk and brood, and I'd love to see her being ruled by her emotions as a big aspect of her character. Loss also tints her story, her friend Elion being kidnapped in Arc 1, and Caleb being turned into a flower again in my version for the duration of about Arc 2 and 3 or so, and I'm itching to explore an angry teenage girl with superpowers story. But arc-wise, I think Cornelia goes from being boy crazy and a little catty to strong, mature, and powerful, pursuing competitive ice skating for the rest of her youth and maintaining it on a strong level even as she explores history professionally. I think maybe she could work to uncover stories of women who are less documented and try to uncover some truths. Hey, just hey, because we don't need to refer to her by her full name unless she's in trouble, is the ultimate ball of sunshine character. She's light as air, she's giggly, creative, funny, and it's really important to me to highlight that early on so that the two major waves that hit her plot-wise come at her like a freight train. Firstly, in Nerissa's revenge, Jan is under Nerissa's thrall, causing granddaughter and grandmother to fight against one another. Harry's relationship with Jan has always been close, with this shared secret bringing them even closer. So rocking the boat like this? Harsh. I want to explore how Hay feels about that. I want it to take a little bit of time and healing for them to be okay again. And then just when their relationship is back at its peak, even stronger than it was before, that's when Jan falls very ill and eventually dies. Yep, cruel of me. But her spirit, along with her friend Cassidy from her Guardian team, both go on to serve the Council of Kandahar, with Jan becoming the Oracle, so Hay can see her regularly. Is it evil of me to enjoy building up Sunshine Puppy characters and then enjoy sending them into emotional turmoil? Maybe. Regardless, I'm gonna do more of it. She's a comic book reader, and I'm imagining her first granted access to her element and thinking she's a superhero, but forgetting to account for the tragedy often surrounding superheroes. She gets to Meridian and sees the suffering for real, and it shakes her. But I'll still let her have some sunshine because I'm going to make her a real Kelly Clarkson, with her only becoming stronger. Magically, she perfects her powers till they're as much of an art form as her dabbling in painting, and emotionally she practices gratitude, becoming more resilient. Speaking of art, she wants to pursue it, doing it in university, but is scared to tell her parents because she knows that they'll want her to take over the Silver Dragon, the family restaurant. And I think she'll end up doing both. And selling her art will allow the restaurant to expand. She'll be able to hire chefs, and often perform in front of house duties, and still work on her career as an artist. And that's it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Bye girlies!